Well, hello everybody. We are back. This is Dale Sports Edition. Week 14 in football. We got a lot of big games coming up. We're filming this right now. The games are already started because it's basically after 2 o'clock. So some of these games are already in progress. But I'm going to talk about the games like I haven't watched them because actually I haven't watched them. If you watched yesterday's games, you watched the greatest comeback ever. Uh, the game in the middle, you didn't have the best quarterback, and then a snowstorm, or almost a snowstorm. If the game would have been 2 hours later, you wouldn't have seen the players. It was starting to go there. All right, so let's talk about yesterday's games. Okay, going in, Minnesota, who was basically lost last two out of the last three, needed to win to basically clinch the division and keep the number two seed. While Indianapolis was basically going nowhere, but they're always a dangerous team because, well, they got a decent defense. Matt Ryan, who's my fantasy backup quarterback, uh, went against Kirk Cousins, who's my starting fantasy quarterback. So this game is going to be interesting. So going in, Minnesota was 7-point favorite, and the over and under was 41 and a half. Okay, let's talk about this game. If you didn't watch it, you missed a classic. Now, back in the 90s, I don't know if people might remember this. I know I do because I was with a friend who unfortunately passed away a year ago. That I watched the most amazing comeback ever. It was Buffalo Bills against the Houston Astros, who do not exist anymore. Dalton Warren Moon was the quarterback, and Jim Kelly and Frank Reich was the quarterback because Jim Kelly got hurt. So going in, Buffalo had the best record, and Houston was basically around there. Well, here's where we stood. It was 35-3. Going into the second half, Buffalo was doing absolutely nothing. So, like I said, I was with my friend, and we went sneaker shopping. At least he did. Now, if you know anybody that goes sneaker shopping, they take forever. It's just like a woman trying to find the right dress. Okay, that takes forever too. So neither one it's great to talk about. So the good thing is we were in a lot of stores, and they had the game on that you could listen to it, not really watch it. So we're going from store to store. We're in Yonkers, where every place else. It's 35-10. Then it's 35-17, and I'm going like, are you listening to this? But he's not. He's just looking for the most ugly sneakers I've ever seen. Then they score again. It's 35-24, and I said, are you kidding me? And now it's in Buffalo and starting to snow, and I'm going like, yeah, that's football, people. If you know football in December and January, it's snow, not sunny and 75 degrees. That's called college. Okay. So yeah, and then it's 35-31, and I'm going like, are you seriously kidding me? So if you watch the game, they scored with I think less than a minute to go, and they won 38-35. So that was the most amazing comeback up until yesterday. So let's see if I could draw a picture for you guys. Okay, so like I said, it gave you the records of the teams going in, that Indianapolis needed a victory to survive, to at least hang in the playoffs, and Minnesota needed to clinch. Okay, so like I said, 7 points, Minnesota favorite, and 41 and a half. So going in, I would have told people, well, take Minnesota in the 7. If you want to split it down the middle, I would say take Minnesota at halftime and make it only 3 points. And that kind of helped me out with today's games, but I will get to that a little bit later. Okay, so the game starts, and Indianapolis scores, make it 7-0. And I said, okay, no problem. Then it's 14-0. Then 21-0. I'm going like, Minnesota, hello, wake up. And kick a field goal. No, they don't do that. They missed. I'm going like, come on. Then 20. So basically at halftime, the score is 33-0 Indianapolis. So I'm going like, great. I put enough bets on Minnesota to actually hang in. I actually had a bet. I always talk about prop bets. So my prop bet was this. Just so, going. My prop bet was basically that Kirk Cousins and the other guy would basically Jefferson scored a touchdown. And Minnesota, it was the opening line. For some bizarre reason, basically dropped. So it went from 7 to 3.5. So I said, I'm going to take 3. But like I said, it's 33-0. So here's what I did. I said, you know what? I'm not giving up on Minnesota just yet. So because they were losing 33-0, they were underdog by 25.5. So I said, you know what? I'm going to go bet that. I'm going to take Minnesota 25. So even if they lose, they're going to hang in there. Second half starts. They get the ball. They score a touchdown, 33-7. And I said, okay, let's see what happens. Then they score to make it 33-14. And I'm going like, okay, at least you can hang in there. Then Indianapolis scores to make it 36-14. And I said, okay, 3 touchdowns were less than going into the fourth. I don't know. Then they score to make it 36-21. And I'm going like, it's just actually happened. So I'm only thinking about, covering the 25.5. I'm not even thinking about the 3 points because I'm going like, they're probably not even going to win this game. Then they score late to make it 36-28. And I'm going like, holy you know what? Are they going to actually do this thing? So Kirk Cousins, who's my guy, my quarterback, moves them downfield. And most amazing thing is they scored a touchdown to make it 36-34. So now they have to get the 2-point conversion. Because if they don't, more likely the game's over. So they get the ball down the 2-yard line. He moves back. He throws Hutchinson, ex-Detroit Lion, which I'm surprised they traded to him, scores to make it 36-36. I'm going like, holy you know what. So this is the greatest comeback ever. Beats the Buffalo game because remember, I was 35-3. This is 33-0. So it beats it by 1 point. So going to overtime, and I said, well, let's see what happens. I said, well, if they kick a field, if Minnesota wins by 3, I get a push on 1. But the other one, I actually had 2.5. So if they win, I actually cover that. And the props, I'm not really worried about the props. But I did another game that I did props. I'll talk about that soon. So Minnesota gets the ball, moves downfield, does nothing. Then Indianapolis gets it, does nothing. Minnesota gets it back again. Moves it downfield with basically not much left. And to the amazement of everybody that was watching this game, and I know some people probably turned the channel, and I was going to be one of them, but I said, let me give them a shot. Minnesota wins 39-36, the greatest comeback ever. Saved Minnesota's playoffs. They clinched the division. They still have the number 2 seed. As far as Indianapolis goes, like one of the announcers said, they might fire the first intern coach because Jeff Saturday, nobody blows a 33-0 lead. I don't care who the hell you are. That's insane. But congrats to Minnesota. Moving on. And as far as Indianapolis, good. I'm a Raider fan. Wanted you out of the way. So good for that. Even though they actually beat you, so it wouldn't have mattered anyway. So now they're 11-3. Philly, who's playing now, last time I saw they were winning 10-6. So go Chicago. Dallas is winning. The only game I care about, there's 2 games I care about today, but I'll talk about that later. So that was that. So let's talk about the other game. Baltimore and Cleveland. Cleveland by a point. Over and under was 38. Being this game, the Minnesota game, when it's overtime, they won't show much of this game. But when they turned to it was like a field goal contest. So if you had the field goal kickers, you did okay. Not much to say about this game. Only thing that was on Baltimore's end, Lamar Jackson didn't play, which hurts Baltimore, but helps me with Cincinnati. Because if they lose this game, Cincinnati will be they'll be number 1 in their division. And if Kansas City or Buffalo falls apart, being they beat both of them, they'll be the number 1 seed. But we still got a couple of weeks to go. So back and forth, 6-3. So Justin Tucker, who's basically the best kicker in football, actually missed a field goal. So 6-3 at halftime. Cleveland scores to make it 13-3. Baltimore gets another chance to kick a field goal. It starts snowing. And Justin Tucker did something he hasn't done since 2018. He actually missed 2 field goals. Final score 13-3. So if you took Cleveland, you won. If you took the under, which you should have taken, you won easy because it was only 20. It was only 16 points. Let's talk about the other crazy game, Miami and Buffalo. Oh my! Not as good as the first game. Not even close. But still a good game. So going in, everybody was talking about the snowstorms that's hit Buffalo on Friday and parts of Saturday. So everybody's going, okay, they're going to play this game in a snowstorm. Well, that wasn't the case up until the very end. So going in, Buffalo was favored by 7 points, over and under of 43.5. Now, what I would have probably done is I would have probably split it, take Buffalo in 6 and Miami in 8, just to play safe. If you're low on funds, I would have said, you know what, play safe and see what happens in that end, because that would have been a good idea. Now, if you wanted to cut it in half, you could have maybe done that. Take Buffalo in 3 and Miami in 4, if you wanted to do that. So, like I said, the Miami coach said, like, oh, bring it on. Bring on the cold. Okay, sure. So they showed, when the game started, they showed what the temperature was in Buffalo and what the temperature was in Miami. So going in, it was 28 degrees in Buffalo and 73 degrees in Miami and rain. Okay, so what would you rather play in? Really? Stupid question. So Miami basically gets on the board. Game is going back and forth. Buffalo gets a 21-13 lead. And then Miami ends up scoring to tie it up and gets the 2-point conversion. So 21-21, and I'm going like, okay. So here's the prop bet that I had in this game. I had a couple of prop bets. My prop bet goes as follows. Josh Allen running for 30-plus yards. Stephon Diggs catching 5 receptions. And Buffalo winning by 3-plus points. Meaning, even if they win by a field goal, I do win it if the other two comes in. And the other prop bet I had is that if Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs scores a touchdown and Buffalo wins. Well, we'll get to that in a minute. So, 21-21. Game going back and forth. Each team moving around. So, Buffalo gets the ball, doesn't do anything. Miami moves downfield. The guy lost the guy, broken coverage. Hill catches the ball, just walks down the field. So they go for the 2 points. And now it's 29-21 with less than a couple minutes to go. Buffalo gets downfield. Singletary, who probably should have gone in for the touchdown, surprised they didn't go for the touchdown, goes in for a touchdown. 2-point conversion. Josh Allen goes over the top. Why he goes over the top? He reaches out, but the ball gets hit. And I'm going like, oh, damn. Oh, they're going to lose because of that. But the thing is, if you watch closely, the ball only has to get over the end line, the white part of it. The second it gets right, even a little bit of it, doesn't matter what happens after that. So because of that, they gave it to him. So it was once 29-27, is now tied at 29. They go back and forth. Buffalo gets the ball. Less than 2 minutes to go. Moves downfield. Then here we go. The snow is coming down. It's coming down hard. And they're showing how, I don't know how they're seeing anything. People are sliding around. People having palm moving around. Buffalo gets down. Singletary, again, should have just scored. I don't know why. I'm going like, you scored, then there was some time left, but this is what they do. Because again, there's no guarantee in a snowstorm that a kicker's going to make the field goal. And that's why I wasn't a fan of him not going in. So, not 5 seconds on the clock, 20-yard field goal. If they win, they clinch their playoffs. They clinch a playoff spot, but still not the division just yet. From 20 yards out, he kicks the field goal, which I didn't even see. But they showed a replay, you saw it. So, like I said, if you took Miami in the 7, you won easily. You took Buffalo in the halftime, you would have lost, but it is what it is, so whatever. But I won my prop bet because Just before they scored, Stephon Diggs caught a pass, so that was 5. So I basically won with. And Josh Allen, if you watch the game, he rushed for like almost 80 yards. Had one big run. So that's the thing I tell people about prop bets. Take it, do some prop bets. All right, so that's the end of the year. Let's talk about today's games going in. All right, Jets 1-point favorite over Detroit, 43.5. Detroit, if you remember what I've been saying to you guys for weeks, the most dangerous teams right now are Detroit and Jacksonville. They might not win their games, but right now, Jacksonville I think won 3 out of the last 4, and Detroit won 5 out of the last 6. So they're dangerous teams, and they still got an outside shot of making the playoffs. Because if Detroit and my Giants end up with the same record, Detroit gets in because they beat them. And if you saw Thursday night's game, because San Francisco beat Seattle, that helped my Giants even more. So thank you, San Francisco. Okay. So I would say take the under. As far as the teams, you're a Jet fan, take the Jets, take Detroit, whatever makes you happy. Okay, we get Atlanta, New Orleans. Atlanta 4-point favorite. New Orleans point favorite over Atlanta, and the point spread's 40. Over and under 43. If you don't know, Marietta basically is out for the season. Probably had foot surgery. Not happy with what's going on, so they were going to bench him anyway. So he brought in Ritter, who basically was the quarterback coming out of Cincinnati, playing his first game against New Orleans in New Orleans. Last time I checked, New Orleans was winning, so 14-3. So up to you guys. Maybe Atlanta might come back. I would have probably taken New Orleans with the 4, maybe like a 21-14 game. Okay, Philadelphia. On the road, 8.5-point favorite against Chicago, over and under 48.5. I would have taken Chicago with the 10, and maybe Philly with 6 or 7. Over and under 48.5, that's kind of tough, so I would have left that alone. I think maybe they might hang in there, maybe lose by 7, Chicago, so I would say take Chicago with the 10. Carolina at home. 3-point favorite over Pittsburgh, 37.5. This to me is probably another back and forth game. I think this would be an under game. I would say it's 37.5. I would say maybe try to get 38 or maybe 39 just in case if like it's a 21-17 final score. 3 points, it's a toss up. I would say, you know what? If you want to take Carolina, just take them to win. The odds will be a little bit more. This way, you don't have to worry about the point spread. Or Pittsburgh, take 4 points. Okay, Dallas, surprisingly, only 4 points favorite over Jacksonville. In Jacksonville, 47.5. If I'm taking Jacksonville, I want 6 or 7. I think they could hang in there. If not, probably take Dallas to win with the 4. 21-17, 24-21, over and under, not really sure. I think maybe under. Kansas City, 14-point favorite over Houston at Houston, over and under 49.5. Okay, now here's what I did. Here's where the prop bets come in. Okay, when you bet on a team, you can bet the first half and the second half. What I mean by that is, what I just said, Kansas City's favored by 14. Actually, it went to 14.5. So what I did was, being I told you about, all these teams like Detroit, Jacksonville, up-and-coming teams. Houston is my third team that just hangs in there. They might not win games, but, they'll at least play tough. So what I did was, I actually went both ways. First half, I said, I'll take Houston in 7.5. Meaning if Kansas City is winning at halftime by 7, you win by a half. And then I took them overall 14.5. So say they win 31-17, Kansas City. You still win by a half. So at halftime, the score was 14-13. So I already won my Houston bet. Let's see what happens with the other one. Now, what would I have done in this? Just like I just said. I wouldn't have changed anything. So we'll leave it at that. Kansas City, I got players on there, so do good. Arizona with no Murray, playing Denver 1.5 at Denver, 46.5. This is a waste of a game. Just take the under. Do not kill yourself and take either team. It's not worth it. Okay, a big game for both teams. Tennessee at the Chargers, 3 points and 46.5. Now, hey, A-Bear just... All right, everybody. We had little technical difficulties. Okay, we are doing this live, and why this is going on? There are games going on that I'm not actually checking on my phone. Now, this one game that a lot of people are curious about, one game I did talk about already, was Jacksonville and Dallas. Now, last time I saw Jacksonville was losing 21-7. Now, as we're doing this live right now, Jacksonville has just sent the game into overtime. That's right, people. It's tied at 34. They came back and had an amazing second half. They came back with 24 points in the second half to tie this thing up. 27 in the second half. Sorry about that. So here we go. So we got tied at 34. Going into overtime. So let's see what happens with that. Okay, let's talk about other games that are actually going on. And people, like I said, I'm going to talk about this now because we're live. All right, let's talk about another game that might be interesting. Okay, we have Kansas City and Houston. Last time I told you people what to do with Houston, I told you I'd become a team. Guess what, people? We got 2 games that are in overtime now. Houston and Kansas City, 24-24 in overtime. They already started. So I want both of my bets. Go Texans! Yeehaw! Okay. Kansas City win a damn game. Or lose, I don't really care anyway. Okay, so those games are going into overtime. So let's see what's going on with the Jets. Maybe we'll have 3 games going to overtime. All right, so let's check Philadelphia and Chicago. Philadelphia was up 25-13. Now I'm looking, and guess what, people? We have a game. Philly 25, Chicago 20, with about 2-minute warning. And let's just check and see who has the ball. Philly's got the ball. 3rd down and 6. If Chicago stops them, they get the ball back, and we'll see what happens with that. So let's check other games. All right, let's see what's going on with the other games. Okay, let's see. Okay, Arizona and Denver just started the game nobody cares about. Okay, we do our one final score. Atlanta made a comeback, but not enough. Final score, New Orleans 21, Atlanta 18. So like I said, and I said the final score might be that, so basically, if you took Atlanta with the 4 points, you won. If you took New Orleans, you knocked it down to 3, you got to push in the over-under. Like I said, the game did go under. All right, so let's talk about the other games. People, we're going back and forth on this. Sorry about that. We have a final, and this is a good and a bad thing. Final score, Detroit 20, Jets 17. Jet fans, well, so like somebody said the other day, same old Jets. Yeah, well, not your fault. Your best quarterback got hurt, so you dealt with what you dealt with. Detroit, like I said to you people, and you better start listening. I'll tell the whole world this. Detroit, Jacksonville, watch out. Now they're 6-8. They're coming for everybody. So look out, people. And another final score. Pittsburgh 24, Carolina 16. So if you did take Carolina, you lost. If you took Pittsburgh, you won. And the over and under, what did I say the over and under was? 43, and I did say it was going to go under, so pat on my back again. Okay, so did they final 24-16, and the game went under. All right, do we have any other finals? Okay, the other 2 games are going into overtime, so we can't talk about them now. So let me go finish what I was talking about. Okay, people, but hey, you're getting live stuff right now, so hey, why not enjoy it? All right, let's talk about the 4 o'clock games, and we'll talk about the 8 o'clock game, and then we'll talk about the Monday night game. Okay, last we spoke, like I said, with the Jacksonville thing we spoke about, Kansas City thing, which I told you if you take Houston, like I did, 7.5 and 14.5, you won both games going to overtime. You can't lose because you get 14 points. You can't score 14 points, only can score 6. And in over and under, well, the game went over. Okay, so Tennessee, last we spoke, Tennessee and the Chargers. Chargers 346.5 over and under. I think it's going to come down to if basically Tennessee could run. If Derrick Henry gets loose, they win this game 24-21. So I say take Tennessee in the 4 points. Okay, Cincinnati, Tampa Bay. Big game for both. Tampa Bay to basically hold on to the division. New Orleans won. They're a game behind right now. And Cincinnati holding on to basically the number 3 spot and basically being Baltimore lost yesterday to hold on to the division lead. And the point spread's 3.5 at Tampa, 45. I like 24-21. So, with the over and under, you want to make it maybe lower it to 44 or maybe push it to 48, but you're giving up a lot. Take Cincinnati with the 3. And that's it. Now let's talk about the Monday night game. Because if you're a New York fan, not a Jets fan, if you're a Giants fan, this game means a lot. Being Detroit won, which is huge, we have to worry about Detroit because we lost to Detroit. Because as it stands right now, we know what our record is. Okay? We're 7-5-1. If we lose tonight, we're 7-6-1. And they're 6-8. So basically, they're right behind. That tie might actually help, but it might hurt too. But we'll see about that. Okay, so Giants are visiting. Oh, sorry. I think I got the wrong. Do I have the right game or the wrong game? Nope. What is the Monday night game? Sunday night game. This is confusing. Okay. We got New England and the Raiders. Raiders are 1.5 point favorite, 44.5. Okay. Raiders blew a game last week, and I've been telling people they haven't had a good defense since 2000, and any Raider fan wants to get in my face and argue with me, be my guest. Okay? You know it, because guess what 2000 went, if you people were even around back then. Last time they were in the Super Bowl, people. Okay? So remember that. Okay? If they ever do get a defense, and they're getting there, I'm not ripping them apart. Max Crosby is your next J.J. Watt. There's something there, but we need more. Okay, running game, you got one of the best running backs. You got one of the best wide receivers. Derek Carr, which they better not trade, is one of your best quarterbacks. But the thing is, they need help. The reason why they lost last week is very simple. You can't count on 2 guys. Jacobs is basically barely got a hand. He got a hamstring problem. And Devontae Adams, you got other receivers. Thankfully, I think Waller's coming back and Winthrop's coming back. So maybe they can open up the offense. I like the Raiders to win a close one. Again, remember, McDaniels is the ex-defensive coach of Belichick for 18 years. So they do know each other. So this game could be a low-scoring game. Or it could be a high-scoring game. It's a tough one. Over and under is 44.5. I would push it to 45 or 46. 17-14 game. Hopefully my Raiders come on top, but it's a tough one. Okay, let's talk about the Monday night game, because again, what I said about the New York thing. Okay, New York needs this. Washington needs it. They both got the same record because of the tiebreaker. So we'll see what happens with that. Giants need this big. I like the Giants 21-17. Over and under is 40.5. Push it to 41. This way you don't have to worry about it. So that's that. Okay, let's talk one thing before I go. Let's talk college football. Okay, we got the matchups. Okay, we're getting closer. Like I said, TCU's the dark horse. TCU is playing Georgia, and Michigan is playing. No, Michigan. Sorry, Georgia's playing Ohio State, and TCU is playing Michigan. Now the odds are, of course, Georgia first, Michigan, Ohio State, and TCU. Well, TCU is my dark horse to win the whole thing. I like their offense with Duggan and the rest of the guys. The defense is decent. But can it beat Georgia? Well, they're going to have to because they're my team. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that later because the game's not yet. Next week I actually talk about that. All right, people. So that's my sports edition for this week. Next week will be basically the year-end one for sure. Okay, I'll talk about the games on Saturday because basically there are Saturday games, Saturday and Sunday. They're doing it weeks earlier. All right, people. So listen to what I've said because so far I've been good today. So watch out for the other games. This has been Dale Sports Edition live, and I will be talking to you soon. Enjoy the games.